music was born in 1983 in Washington, D.C., the minute after Minor Threat broke up.
The following year, a new band called Rites of Spring formed.
Rites of Spring had all the frenzy of punk, but something different too.
Singer Guy Peixoto had a new kind of singing style.
His lyrics were personal and emotional. His passionate voice would explode at the climax of the songs, singing to the point of exhaustion.
Right. 3, 2, 1.
2, 1.
Oh shit! You came to play. All right. Now you're in the mood. Hey everybody! Welcome back. Deep dive. The emo. I almost call it the emo cringe fest, but we actually like this genre.
Definitely not cringy to me.
It's not cringy. It's not cringy. But I hope that you checked out our first episode that I did with my talented, beautiful, smart, amazing baby sister, Amber.
Woo!
Woo! So one of our favorite songwriters in the emo genre is Conor Oberst, and we just did his band when he was teenage years. So if you haven't watched that shit, I want you to stop watching this. Go back and check that out because it's fucking great. and if you don't like emo, that's even better for you because it's a cringy song. Imagine a 14-year-old emo kid and what that might sound like. I loved it though. So like we said, Amber has her era of emo. I have mine, and we kind of connect at Bright Eyes. So before we get to her era, I would like to start with the beginnings of this genre. This is a very misunderstood genre. People don't really understand what the fuck it means, and it's changed so much. It's changed so much that the title is almost meaningless. The connecting thread is usually
There's a lot of emotion.
there's a lot of emotion,
And that's what a lot of the lyrics are about. It's about what they're going through and what they're feeling.
Yeah, the personal songwriting comes through, often kind of high-pitched, often a higher register vocal, often a lot of yelping and screaming. Amber's in Michigan right now. I'm in the D.C. area. I grew up in Michigan. I wish I had known about the D.C. punk movement when I was a teenager, because fucking hell, I would have been that. I would have the whole straight edge thing. I would have been so into that. I love the DC punk history here, and DC punk history is the beginning of emo. The first bands that the press called emotional hardcore was from 1985 in the DC punk movement. This ain't like the Green Day era. Punk was not getting on the radio. Punk had a moment in the late 70s, early 80s where the bands got some semblance of commercial success and could actually, radio station would play them and all that stuff. This kind of thing, this hardcore punk movement that came out of DC. Yes, straight edge is part of it, but I think the actual lasting thing is the emo thing. And so there's a band and a legendary singer, Ian MacKaye. The band is Minor Threat. Have you heard of this band, Amber? Minor Threat?
I don't think so.
So Minor Threat,
Maybe.
Minor Threat, led by Ian MacKaye, that's the first straight edge band. He created the term in a song called Straight Edge. The biggest band that come out of DC is Fugazi.
Yes.
Fugazi has the classic two singers emo template, but Fugazi's not necessarily emo as far as the personal songwriting, but the two singers from Fugazi, they had the first two emo bands, and it only existed in the summer of 1985. Because what happened is Ian MacKaye, who already had notoriety from Minor Threat, which is the first straight edge band, total hardcore, scream your head off, power chord, 2-minute songs. It's hardcore shit, right? Mm-hmm. But Ian saw that the hardcore movement was super fucking macho and was tired of the violence in the movement. And so the dude literally created emo as a fuck you to the macho takeover of the punk movement, which I think is pretty fucking cool in my opinion. His emo band was called Embrace. That existed for one summer. The other band that existed for one summer is Rites of Spring, which I actually think is a better example, a connection to what emo became later. Picciotto is the other singer in Fugazi. Fugazi is my second favorite punk band of all time. And he had a emo band that only existed in the summer of 85 as well. They played 15 shows, but this album is fucking legendary. So the song is For Want Of. It's their biggest hit. It's their biggest hit for an album that sold like 10 copies in 85, I'm sure.
Right.
Yeah, any thoughts so far? That's the intro. You got a little taste of the main riff, which is
I'm liking it.
It's a pretty famous punk riff. And then you also got a taste of the emotional vocals. He blows his voice out recording this album. By the last couple songs, he could barely even speak.
Jeez.
Yeah, and you're hearing that. This is one of the early songs in the album, so you're hearing him really push the voice.
Gotcha. Yeah. I feel the emotion. I feel it.
Yeah.
I believe. Memory, my mirror, no reflections on me. I believed that if forgetting I might set myself free. Piece of glass caught in my throat, and then I just I played. I tried to hide the heart from the head, and I said I played in the arms of a girl I barely met. But I woke up this morning with the president's splinters on the ground. And then I drowned.
So, what's your thoughts so far?
So I'm having a hard time understanding him when he's
Well, let's pull up the lyrics.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to do here.
Yeah, so you have some classic emo touchstones here. I mean, I bled. I tried to hide the heart from the head. I bled in the arms of a girl I barely met. Like,
oh my God.
Like they're setting the groundwork, right?
Yes.
And most punk they're usually shouting because they're angry. He's not angry. Right. He's in pain, and that comes through very clear. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's very common in emo music. They shout when they're in pain rather than just angry.
Yes.
And most people, they'll hear the yelling. They're like, why is he so angry? Like, he's not angry. He's hurt. He's upset.
He's hurt. He's upset. But I woke up this morning with a piece of past caught in my throat, and then I choked. I love that line. I really do.
Then I choked.
Then I choked. Then I choked. Sorry.
And I said I'd play in the arms of a guy barely paid. But I woke up this morning with the president's splinters on the ground, and then I drowned.
Here's my favorite part coming up.
All right.
And if I can't see, it's for one of you. You said I'd see. If there's nothing here, then it's probably mine. Well, my turn to see. If there's nothing here, it'll always be mine. I woke up this morning with a piece of glass caught in my throat, and then I choked. I guess I've learned the taste of the days that will always burn. I guess I've learned if it's in the corner of my eye, well, I can't always turn. 'Cause I woke up this morning with the president's splinters on the ground, and then I drowned. Yeah.
So I'm liking it.
Are you digging it?
I am. I'm digging it. It's really good.
That makes me happy. I love when you can hear the beginning of something like this. I wish I knew about this shit when I was in high school. It would have changed everything about what I was listening to. All right, let's right back to it.
All right.
And if I don't see, it's for one of you.
I got to chime in on this part. There is something really interesting about the I don't know what the fuck's going on at this point in the song. I'm hearing like some weird like guitar feedback thing. Like they're kind of maybe hitting the strings. And then the drums are doing something weird too. Do you hear that? It's like the boom doo 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 boom boom boom. That's like him hitting the guitar. That's what it sounds like to me. But then the drums are doing something weird. I don't know. There's something different sonically from the rest of this album in particular.
Okay.
I don't know what the hell that is, but I love that shit.
And if I don't see,
Here it comes.
it's for one of you.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah. That was good.
Yes.
That was really good.
Yes. Thank you.
I appreciate that.
Thank you.
I like the raw emotion in his voice.
Yeah.
Like you could feel what he was feeling.
Yeah.
You know, and once I pulled up the lyrics, I
Right.
appreciated the lyrics.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it made me laugh, like the whole, and then I drowned, and then I
Yeah.
choked. It just
Yeah.
brings me to like what everyone pictures of emo kids, you know,
Yeah.
like
Well, he was a teenager when he wrote this. I mean,
my life is so dark and depressing.
yeah. Yeah.
Yes, but I loved it. I loved it. It was really good, and I really like his voice and the raw emotion in it. That's my favorite part.
Yeah. He was, I believe he was 19 when he made
19.
this. He was 19 years old.
I just think it's so funny how this emo music has been around for so long, but everyone always thinks it's so new.
Yes.
You know, like
yes.
my generation,
Yep.
we thought it was new.
Yes. Yep.
And then, you know, my middle schoolers, they're like talking about emo music like it's a brand new thing. They're just like, oh, this person's the original emo. And I'm like, oh, honey. Oh,
well, now
honey.
you can just send them the link to this episode,
I
and
probably
I'm
will.
happy. I'm happy to provide the historical context.
I think I'm disappointed though that he only did one album with this kind of emotion in his voice. I mean, I understand why.
Yeah,
I get it.
No, I know what you mean.
But I just wish
believe
there was
me,
more
he
of it.
sings with plenty of emotion in Fugazi.
Okay, good.
That's a very shouty band. And
okay, good.
And but sustainable.
That is important.
People who can scream well,
Mm-hmm.
I can like it, but there's a certain level of like, it does not capture the emotion like people who can't scream the way they're screaming, and you know it hurts.
Yes.
I'm talking Nirvana Negative Creep. You would think Kurt would never be able to sing again. I'm talking the Beatles doing Twist and Shout. John Lennon couldn't speak for 2 days after recording that.
Oh.
You hear his voice dying at the end of that. I love those. That's the performance. And if you're in the studio, you got 1 day to make a classic, and you're a punk band in the 80s, and this is do or die. He fucking did it. I mean,
yeah,
he fucking did it. All right. With that, let's move on to the next one. See you, everybody. Woo!